Hi guys, I'm going to read Ruby in the Sky, Chapter 2. Okay. So remember, there's no pictures on this book, but you can just see me reading, okay? Listen to me reading. It says, Bob pulled free of my grasp and galloped toward Mom. I jammed my numb fingers into my jeans and stepped onto the porch. Mom slowly rocked the swing as she stared into the sky. It gets dark so early here, doesn't it? She whispered. Darker than anywhere else we've lived. She scratched Bob's head as I squeezed him next to her on the seat. She adjusted her blanket to cover me. Her face looked even paler against the darkening sky. Bob got distracted by a scent in the snow and bounded off, tracking it behind the house. Remember when Dad used to work the overnight shift, Mom said, and you two played your moon game? Goosebumps ran up my arms. I did not want to talk about the moon game with Mom. I did not want to talk about Dad. The moon game began when Dad started working nights, and we hardly saw each other. Dad and I had a deal. Each night at exactly 8 o'clock, no matter where we were or what we were doing, we had to find the moon. Since we're both looking at the moon at the same time, Ruby, he'd say, it'll be like we're sitting right next to each other. If Dad was gone before I got home from school, he'd leave a note. I'll see you on the moon tonight, he'd write. One rainy night, I cried when I couldn't find the moon. Mom rubbed my back and sang to me until I fell asleep. The next morning, Dad came into my room. The important part is the trying, he'd said. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there. Mom slowly rocked the porch swing. I was thinking, you and I could start doing that. Most of the job openings I'm finding are for the night shift. I didn't want to hurt her feelings, but the moon game belonged to Dad and me. There's no moon in Vermont, I said. Stars had begun to pop out in the darkening night sky, but the moon seemed to have overslept. Just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not there, she whispered, lifting the charm of her crescent moon necklace to her lips. Dad had given her the necklace before I was born, and I couldn't remember her ever not having it on. Sometimes I'd ask her if I could wear it, but she always said no. Mom kissed the top of my head, and for a moment I felt like the old Mom was back. The one who used to rub my back and sing. What happened, Mom? Why did that cop arrest you? She let the charm fall against her neck. It's all a mistake. But I knew it wasn't. I knew it as much as I knew I'd hate Fortin as much as I hated Myrtle Beach, and Avalon, and Orlando. Even though those places had been vacation spots we'd visited with Dad, they weren't home, and neither was Fortin. Why did we have to come here, Mom? Why can't we move back to D.C.? Mom bolted upright, taking the blanket with her. I nodded, my hair forward, wishing I could snatch my words back, but it was too late. Mom's cheeks sprouted in red blotches. Don't start that again, Ruby, she said. You know there's no going. The sound of tires cracking over ice and dirt interrupted her. A gray pickup ground its way up our driveway. Perfect. Mom pulled the blanket tight around her. Cece's back. The engine cut and Cece hopped from the truck, wearing the same dirty brown barn jacket she always wore. She began tugging a giant blue Rubbermaid tub from the bed of her pickup. I could use some help here, she called. Mom fell back onto the porch swing and nudged me up. As I made my way toward the truck, Cece eyed my jacket and sneakers. I knew Delilah hadn't properly prepared for this weather, she muttered. Bob came racing from around back, heading toward Cece like a speeding bullet. He leaped up, knocking her sideways. Get down, she yelled. Ruby, control your dog. I grabbed Bob's muddy leash and pulled him off. For the life of me, I will not understand why you got a golden retriever, Delilah. That dog is too big. She brushed Bob's fur from her coat and hairy. I looked into Bob's smiling face. You needed to rescue me, that's why, he seemed to say. Cece lifted the tub from the truck. I tried to help, but she was in a huff now. Just keep that dog off of me. Mom opened the front door. You need a shovel and spread sand. I'll get you some, Cece said. Inside, she dropped the container on the warped wooden floor. Bob whined as I pushed him outside and closed the door. Just for a minute, I told him with my eyes. He headed off to sniff Cece's tires. This is what I was able to find at Family Thrift. Cece removed the lid. Ruby's a size 10, right, Delilah? I'm right here, I wanted to say, and I'm a size 12. It's freezing in here, Cece said. All that southern living make you forget how to light a fire? She opened the stove's cast iron door and added kindling. I told you, you're going to have to use this to supplement the heat. The furnace is too old to do the job alone. Really, Cece? This place is the best you could find? Mom said as she slumped on the couch. I dug through the bin of clothes. There were a bunch of sweaters, scarves, gloves, and heavy socks, even a pair of snow boots in my size. I slipped into a brown wool dress coat and smoothed the front with my hands. It was a little snug and kind of old-fashioned, but it was warm, and there were no duct tape holding it together. Always a good thing. Maybe if you didn't get arrested at your first job here, you'd be able to afford a nicer rental. She stood and brushed wood chips from her pants. I had to beg Mr. Chatty to give you that job, Delilah. Do you know how many people would love to work at Frank's Diner? It's a huge tourist stop in ski season. I was a dishwasher, Cece, not a rocket scientist. I'm sure I can find another job. Cece crossed her arms. Her mouth made a tight, straight line. That's not the point, Delilah. The blanket around Mom's shoulders loosened as she set her jaw and narrowed her eyes. You think this was my fault, she said. Cece stared back. This was not going to end well. Ruby, Cece said, her gaze never leaving my mom. I brought a casserole and a salad. Why don't you get them from my truck? As I opened the door, a frozen gust rattled the windows. But as cold as it was outside, it felt like the beach weather, compared to the icy battle brewing inside. I slammed the door behind me. Bob trotted over, dragging his leash through the snow. I heard Cece's voice, scolding. What did I tell you? You're not in a city, Delilah. You can't be running your mouth. Are you saying you believe him and not me? I did not touch that man, Cece. Chatty knocked me down, and I reported it to the police. He must have lied so that I'd get arrested. Well, if he thinks that that's going to shut me up, then he picked the wrong girl. I scratched Bob's head. Mom and Cece's words made my face hot. Cece can get her own stupid casserole, I thought. I grabbed the dirty end of Bob's leash, and we started walking. Soon we were back at the bottom of the hill near the gate with the no trespassing sign. The bunny's pine needle nest was empty. I made a mental note to bring her some food. I stared past the sign, seeing my own footprints from earlier. If I had thought first before chasing after Bob, I would have never gone down there. Now, with night dripping over the trees, it looked even darker and creepier. I wondered what Mom would make of the lady I'd met and realized I hadn't had a chance to tell her what had happened. A whisper, thin strand of smoke danced above the tree line. I gripped Bob's leash tighter. If he took off again, I sure wasn't going after him. I let Bob sniff the snow until I heard Cece's truck start up. Fortunately, she lived in the other direction. I tugged at Bob to go back. Inside the house, Mom sat alone at the kitchen table, the blanket still wrapped around her shoulders. There was an unopened newspaper in the front of her. It wasn't a mistake, was it? I said. Mom jumped as though she had heard me come in. Well, for your information, I didn't do anything wrong, but thank you for vote of confidence. She opened the newspaper. If you're going to pick up where Cece left off, don't bother. I can find my own job. What happened at the police station? I don't want to talk about it. She put the moon charm to her lips. It was humiliating. Are you going to have to go to jail like the cop said? The necklace dropped. No, but I have to go to court on Monday. I leaned forward. I want to go too. No, you start school on Monday, she sighed. Cece will go with me. Hearing the word school was enough to make my throat feel tight and itchy all over again. What does Cece know about court? Mom tilted her head. What do you know about court? She waved her hand in the air. They're going to give me an attorney, a public defender. It'll get cleared up. What if it doesn't? Sometimes you have to have a little faith. Mom leaned over the newspaper, squinting. It explains why no one would take my application yesterday. What do you mean? She shook her head. This means that this mess started at Frank's Diner on Thursday. Your first day of work? And my last. The owner, that guy Cece knows, Frank Chatty, well, he shoved me. Why'd he do that? The restaurant was really busy, and he was hopping up and down, mad that everything was moving too slowly. Customers were waiting to be seated. Hungry people were complaining that the food was taking too long. When folks started walking out, Chatty went ballistic, screaming and stressing and everyone out even worse. So, I was carrying out a rack of glasses. When I walked past him, I told him to cut it out. That's it. You said cut it out and he shoved you? The left side of Mom's mouth curled in a smile. I might have used other words. I rolled my eyes. How did that make you get arrested? You're starting to sound like Cece, you know that? Mom sighed. A waitress told me that it wasn't the first time he shoved an employee. So I did what the rest of the ladies who work at the diner should have done years ago. I marched straight to the police station and filed a complaint against him. I know a criminal assault when I see one. You went to the police because of a little shove? Mom looked at me straight in the eye. It wasn't little, Ruby. But even if it was, no one gets to put their hands on me. Ever. Not on you, either. Understand? I nodded. She lifted her pants to show bruises on her shins. He pushed me hard enough to make me fall backward. The dishwasher rack landed on me and some of the glasses broke. Tears filled my eyes. I blinked them back. But why did you get arrested? The police didn't believe me or didn't want to. Mom straightened her pants. Frank Chatty told him I started everything, that I was the one who hit him. Also, he had some big shot witness talk to the police, the mayor or someone, who says he saw the whole thing, and that it happened the way Chatty said it did. Did you show them your legs? They said they didn't need to see them. I thought it was because they believed me. So it's your word against his, and the mayor's? A couple of waitresses saw what happened, and he's done it before. Guess he's got a short fuse, Mom waved a hand in the air. Once I get them to come forward, this will go away. I looked at the floor. I'm sorry, Ruby Moon. I know this isn't the best way to start. I'm going to... Her words seemed to catch in her throat. She pressed her necklace against her lips. I should have hugged her right then. I should have said, of course everything's going to be okay. But I knew it wasn't. I knew that nothing would ever be right until we went home to Washington, D.C., where Mom acted like a real mom and we were a real family. I got up from my chair and opened the door to my room. Do you want some of Cece's casserole? It's in the fridge, she said. I shook my head as Bob pushed past me. I closed the door, put on my pajamas, and crawled under my comforter. Bob hopped up, almost knocking me off the air mattress. He turned around 2 times, then lay down. My clock read 7:50. I dug my hand into Bob's fur as he made his going-to-sleep grunty sounds. I stared out the window, scanning the sky for that missing moon. But the night stayed empty and black. I opened my eyes as wide as I could and let its darkness fill me. The end. So now we will be reading chapter 3, and I'll read this by Friday, okay? Or not by Friday, by Monday. Because Monday will be our another 1 o'clock Zoom meeting, okay? See you guys then. Bye.